Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Yesterday I made a video about Errol Spence saying is he retired or not because he's missing in action. He's been inactive for over 2 years, about 2 years and 4 months I think it is. And if he does come back, he'll probably come back at super welterweight. Well, if you look at the super welterweight division, it's actually, in remarkably good condition. Now, the middleweight division has usually been one of the original 8 weight divisions, and it's one of the glamour divisions, but it's kind of in a bit of a lull. I mean, there ain't a lot going on there. If Bud Crawford moves down from 168 to 160, it's perfectly feasible he could become undisputed champion in a fourth weight division, which would be incredible. But 154 is a different story. 154 looks good. Right, and let's go through a few of the names, the champions I'm thinking of here. So we'll start with the IBF champion, who's Bakram Mutazaliev, undefeated in 23 fights with 17 KOs. He's from Russia. I think he's based in California, Oxnard, I think it is. He hasn't fought for a while. He's been inactive, which is never a good thing. Because his last fight was last October 2024 when he smashed Tim Tszyu to bits in 3 rounds. And Tszyu then had his rematch with Sebastian Fundora, who we'll talk about in a minute, and got battered as well. I think he really... Tszyu is called the soul taker. He likes to call himself, which is a rather pretentious nickname. But I think Bakram Mutazaliev may have taken Tim Tszyu's soul with that 3-round battering just over a year ago. But he's got a win over Jack Kulkay, the German guy. That was over in Germany. That was for the IBF title. He won the IBF title, stopped Kulkay in 11 rounds. But he's kind of treading water. Inactivity is a bad thing. I don't know why he hasn't had a fight since. Maybe he's been injured. But he is a threat. He is a threat. Like I say, undefeated in 23. And unifications, by the way, I should point out, are surely something that's got to happen in the 154 division, because it is a terrific division, and a lot of the unifications would be pick-em fights, 50-50s, very entertaining fights as well. So if we move on to the WBA, we've got Abbas Baru, who is German guy. He's come from nowhere, really. He was a very established EBU champ, and he burst onto the scene with the victory over the guy who was expected to beat him, Ioannis Tellez, who was undefeated in 10. And in fact, Baru floored Tellez in the final round, the 12th round, and outpointed him unanimously, and deservedly so. And if you're in the UK, you'll know about Baru, because he came over to Telford and scored a majority decision win, which should have been unanimous, over that warrior Sam Eggington, who is a UK favourite. Sam is just an incredible fighter. He's fought anyone, has fought anyone. But he didn't have quite enough to beat Baru. Baru is one of those guys, he's travelled a bit. He also came back to Britain and beat Macaulay McGowan, unanimous decision over 12. That was in defence of the EBU title. Very underrated fighter, and against Tellez he showed exactly what he's got. And like I say, he's a traveller. He don't mind about travelling at all. He's a guy who no one's ever given anything. He came up the hard way, and he's got that WBA title, deservedly so. 31 years old. I mean, terrific fighter. Very, very and a nice guy. Really, really nice guy. If you see him interviewed, he comes across really, really well. And it's good to see someone going through that route where they don't have any sort of highly fancied promoters or a lot of wallop behind them, but they finally come good. I think it's terrific to see. But still on the subject of the WBA title, the interim champion is none other than Jaron Boots Ennis. Now, I'm not going to dwell on Boots because you know all about him, but he's, at 154, I mean, he was massive at 147, stayed there perhaps a little bit too long, and now has moved up to 154. And he is obviously going to be someone who's extremely difficult to beat at 154. Boxer puncher, hits really hard, lovely technique, just a very, very good fighter. I won't dwell on him because you know all about him. Now, if we move on to the WBC champion, that is Sebastian Fundora. And we know all about Fundora, the 2 wins over Zhu. Came back fantastically from a defeat to a guy whose name I'm not going to mention. I can see him in my mind's eye. I can't remember his name. What was his name? For fuck's sake. Oh, that's what happens when you get old. Yeah, but anyway, Sebastian Fundora came back from a bad knockout defeat. He's called the Towering Inferno, and if you look at how high he is, how his height, how he is like a bloody skyscraper, but likes to fight small. He likes to get down and dirty, gets in it. And the first fight with Zhu, as you'd probably remember, was a bloodbath. People talked about Zhu having that huge gash on his forehead, which was pissing blood. The fight should really have been stopped, of course. But don't forget, Fundora had a busted nose, cut mouth. He was swallowing blood. It was just one of those grueling fights. The rematch, one-sided, completely one-sided. Fundora just smashed Zhu to bits and made him quit. The Soul Taker, indeed. Sounds like I'm anti-Zhu. I'm not. I just don't like that nickname. But yeah, he's the WBC champ. And the WBC interim champ is... I don't know why we have to have an interim champ if Fundora is the champion. It's like Ennis and Baru. We don't need an interim champ. But the interim champ is Virgil Ortiz Jr., who is, a very, very good fighter and undefeated in 23 with 21 KOs. He actually fights this weekend against a live opponent, Erickson Lubin, who's, again, another guy who's got something about him. He's 27 wins with 19 KOs. He's got 2 defeats. One of them was to Fundora, who he floored in, I think, the 7th round, but he himself was down early. That was a bloodbath as well, because when he was pulled out, Lubin was, his face was just chopped meat. This guy's got balls. He's got balls. And he takes on Virgil Ortiz Jr. as an underdog this weekend. I would say that Ortiz Jr. probably gets him, probably stops him. But Lubin won't go out easy. He'll go out in his shield. He'll leave it in the ring. And has been a staple of the 154 contenders for some time now. But Ortiz Jr. versus Lubin is a good fight. Oh, that's this weekend. I'm going to watch that one. I think it's on DAZN. Now we've got a guy who I think a lot of people are overlooking, and that's the WBO champion, and that's Xander Zayas. Again, undefeated, another undefeated fighter, 22 wins with 13 KOs. He's from Puerto Rico. He's 23 years old, young man. But I tell you what, the guy can fight. I think he won the vacant title against Jorge Perez. Unanimous decision over 12 rounds, comfortable win. Perez is a good gatekeeper type, good fighter, but not really, worthy of a world title shot. I think he was kind of picked, to be honest with you, so that Zayas could pick up the belt, but which he did. If you look back on Zayas' record, he's only a young man, he's only 23, but he does have a win over Patrick Teixeira, who he outpointed unanimously over 10. That was a very, I think it was one-sided. I don't think it was a whitewash, but it was close to it. He won most of the rounds. And he's got one over another unanimous decision. Was it a unanimous decision went over Damien Sosa? I think it was. He hasn't faced anyone terrific, the upper echelons, but he is a dark horse. And now that he's got a belt at 23, he's got to carry on learning on the job. But don't write him off. Undefeated fighter, not bad at all. Not bad at all. That as a contender, he's got a belt, so he's not a contender. But you know what I mean. Then you got other people hanging around. Giovanni Santillan springs to mind. You've still got Keith Thurman. God knows, Keith Thurman's had the strangest of careers. He really has. Just very, very odd. Sort of floats around, comes back. You think he's retired, and then he's scoring a good win. And oh my God, Tim Tszyu has to rebuild. Does he have anything left at 154? I have my doubts, but I like Tim Tszyu. He's a decent fighter. I don't know. I think he was slightly overrated, all things considered, but still a decent fighter. But he's got some psychological hurdles to overcome, I think, to jump over. Who else have we got? Let me think. Who am I missing out? I know that when I stop this video, I'm going to think, oh, I should have mentioned him. No, no, I can't remember. I can't remember any others. I think that the top ones have got the belts, or the interim belts. But anyway, to get back to my original point, if you think about it, if Errol Spence does decide to fight on at 154, he's got his work cut out. Those are good champions, good fights, and it's a good division, often overlooked division. But like I say, the names I've mentioned, if you put them together in unifications, that would be a brilliant setup. A brilliant sort of round robin of good fighters fighting each other, and a lot of them would be pick'ems. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Do you like 154? What do you think? Who would you match with who? What are the fights you'd most like to see? And just as an aside, I mean, I know a lot of you think Spence should retire. I tend to agree with you. But do you think he'd beat any of the names I've mentioned? Difficult shout, isn't it? And who do you think is going to be the last man standing? Let me know. Comments below. Give me your opinions. And thanks for watching. And of course, as I always say, if you did enjoy this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate it a great deal. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Thanks very much. Enjoy your evening. Bye for now.